So here it is. What do you call the security outside of a Samsung store? The Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
So I can see smiles on everyone's faces. So I guess we can start. So I guess we could start off the meeting now. So I'm gonna hand it over to Dharani.
Thank you, Puho. I'm gonna call you Puho if that's okay with you. Thank you. So, hello everyone. Great to see everyone's faces on a good Tuesday evening. Today we have something very special. Before we start the meeting, we have a special guest with us. He's a musical. He is amazing. He is not a professional, but I want to call him a professional because he gives me a vibe of a professional artist. He is a songaholic, and we have with us Raymond. His nickname is Rain Man. He goes by Rain Man. He plays. He's a guitarist, and he plays acoustic electric guitars. And he plays several styles: folk, rock, blues, and country. So we are really happy to have him today to play a special song for us. So let's all welcome Rain Man.
Yeah. Hey, thank you very much. I finally got my audio set up so I could hear you perfectly. I had it set up. I didn't have the Zoom client on my computer, and it's like, oh no, so just do it. So that's what I did. I selected a pretty song. It's a Simon and Garfunkel song, and it's very short because time is precious. So this song is You Will. That's the name of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raymond, for taking your time of your day for playing a really peaceful, nice, relaxing song for us. We really enjoy that, right, guys? I'm putting a link to Raymond's website on the chat box. Please go check out his work. I just checked out his website. I loved it. And show some love for him. He plays in local cafes here in New York. So thank you, Raymond, for your presence today.
Thank you,
really
Damas. Appreciate it.
Okay, so now moving on. Today, we have a wonderful meeting set up, and first I would like to bring in my sister. I would like to bring in Srimati for a quick announcement.
Hi everyone, this is Srimati. So it's going to be a quick announcement. So we have all been doing great for the couple of weeks. I have been just here and like an observer, and I learned from a lot of things from your speeches. But one thing that we wanted to put out is maybe let's spice it up next week. So why don't we all try having a dress code on? So maybe let's have a professional outfit. So girls can go all the way, wear any kind of, full on suits, and guys can make sure if you have a tie or bow tie, go ahead. I mean, we don't have any other occasion to go outside and dress up, but take this Tuesday evening as an opportunity to dress up and, put on makeup. So try to, if you want to, I would say that'll be great. We'll be looking all, tip top on the video. And another announcement is make sure, we still have 3 more weeks. So this week and then 2 more weeks after that. So make sure that you are being you in your speeches. So don't think this as a class. Another thing we want to let you know ahead, don't think this as a class. Think as it's a club. So, don't be very restricting yourself. Be yourself in your speeches. So just want to put it out there. And that's it. So over to Dharani.
Thank you. Thank you for the announcement. So today we also have another special guest with us. His name is Andrew Watt. And I would like to bring up Mr. Andrew for giving us our guest speech today.
Thank you so much. Who is my timer?
Your timer for today will be
Travis.
Yes.
Thank you, Tavish. Do you have something that you'll hold up when I'm at 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and 7 minutes?
Yeah, I have some stuff.
Excellent. In that case, I'll get started. I was asked today to speak about gesture in public speaking. And that is what I'm going to speak about. I have 5 things that I want to give you the chance to think about in the course of today's speech. As you might be able to tell, I have just moved to a new house and none of my stuff is here yet. It's still on a truck on its way to this new house. The result is that I've had a chance to think about space quite a bit while I'm living here, but I don't have any of my stuff here. It's very difficult. My suit and my tie are on the truck and not here. However, I have 5 things that I want you to think about when it comes to gesture. The first thing that I want you to think about is camera angle. While we are on Zoom, you want to be able to make eye contact with your audience, but you also want to be able to move in such a way that people can see your hands. So the first thing is to elevate your camera to the point where you're still able to make eye contact with the camera, but you also have the ability to stand. That's number 1. Number 2 is that you want to get your chair out of the way. When I do those 2 things, 1, you can see more of my body. You can see from waist to the top of my head and even a little bit above. And that means that you have, as an audience, a better ability to understand what it is that I'm doing with body language while I'm speaking. So 1, change the angle of your camera so that you can stand and still make eye contact. And 2, move your chair so that you have more space to move in. 3 is that I want you to consider 4 places in front of your camera. The first is that the camera view is divided left and right. So you can stand on one side of the camera, or you can stand on the other. And this gives you the ability to say on the one hand in your speech, as well as on the other hand. I've chosen my camera view quite carefully, right? I would like you to compare one choice, which is to make no gestures at all, as a dead end. Quite literally. There's nowhere to go. If you don't have gesture in your speeches, you're going to run into a dead end and you're going to hit a wall. On the other hand, if you use gestures, do you see that there's a bright future ahead? In other words, I've set up a false choice just by choosing my camera angle. And that's something that I want you to think about, because just standing up gives you more choices about how to frame your audience's view, right? It's not whatever happens to be behind the camera. It's making a choice about what your audience will see, especially while you are inside the frame of Zoom. So think about, does your speech require a one hand, other hand kind of choice, and make use of the ability to step from side to side inside the camera view and present one possibility as well as a completely different possibility? Where in your house can you do that? So that line dividing the screen in half gives you left and right, but it also gives you front and back. So I can think about the big picture, or I can think about the detailed matter that I want to bring your attention to, right? That's a powerful skill, but you can only do it if you're standing or if you have control over your roller chair moving left and right, front and back, all right? So the screen is divided top to bottom, left and right, and it's also divided between close up and far away. But again, you can only do this if you're standing. So the first thing is change the camera angle to suit the speech that you're giving. The second is to move your chair out of the way. And the third thing is to divide the screen front and back, left and right. Is that helpful? I hope so. The fourth thing is what I call symmetric gesture. That's when you're using both hands in the screen and eventually on stage in front of a live audience to do the same thing or to do the mirror thing on screen. I think of it as being inside the Zoom box. See what my hands are doing? I'm outlining the sides of my screen so that you have a sense that I'm inside a screen and I know that I'm inside a screen. That kind of gesture where I'm using both hands at the same time is giving my audience a clue that this is a process that needs both hands. The second piece of this kind of gesture is called asymmetric gesture. And that's where I'm doing one thing with one hand and I'm doing something else with the other hand. That's very hard to do. Our hands naturally move in sync with one another unless we're doing something like writing, right? Here's my pen. And with this pen, I can reach out and I can touch the computer screen and I can see that Tavish is signaling me that I've just changed over to yellow. Now, this means that one-handed gestures or two-handed gestures, symmetric gestures with both hands on the pen or one hand on the pen means that the other hand has a tendency to not do anything at all. Magicians use this kind of power incredibly well because they're always doing something big with one hand in order to distract you from this other hand that's doing something like pulling a coin out of the ear or something like that. This hand is ready to do the trick. If you can do two things in a different way with each hand, you have created a clear message to people that allows them to change their minds. So those are the 5 tools, right? Change the camera angle, move your chair, think about the left and right-hand sides of your camera, as well as front and back. And finally, symmetric gestures where both hands are doing the same thing at the same time, and asymmetric gestures where they're doing 2 different things at the same time. I think you'll find that that's the obvious choice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Andrew, for that wonderful speech. For those of you guys who don't know Andrew, Andrew Watt joined Toastmasters in 2013. He completed his first Distinguished Toastmaster Award in 2020. And about the same time that he was elected as the district director, the chief Toastmaster officer for a region that includes parts of upstate New York, Western Massachusetts, and Connecticut. District 53 includes over 100 Toastmaster clubs and 2,000 members. And today he just spoke to us about the power of body language and hand movement in public speaking in the speech named Gesture in Public Speaking. So thank you so much for that amazing speech. I will take your thoughts into my mind and try to have more gestures and convince the small points I want to say as well as the big points. So thank you so much for that speech.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Moving on now, we will be I will be bringing up the roles for today's meeting. First, for our timer, we have Tavish. And so that's Tavish. Next, our counter for today is Arhant.
Dharani, hold on. So Tavish, can you explain what are you going to do? What's your role? Can you just quickly brief?
At a certain time, I'll put up green, yellow, or red. When you're red, then you're near the end. Yellow, you still have a little bit of time. Green, you have a lot of time. And then at the end, I'll tell you your time.
At the end, you will record and you will give the report. Very good. Okay, move on, Dharani. Thank you.
Thank you. And next for our counter for today, we have Arhant. Arhant, please just describe your roles and responsibilities as an counter.
I just count the ahs and ums of like the speakers, the evaluators, and like those who do the table topics.
Thank you. And for our next roles, I would like to bring up our Vice President, Kundavi. sorry, I'd like to bring our vice president up to introduce Kundavi.
Oh, so I missed you. Did you say that Kundavi was the vice president?
Sorry, no, you're the vice president. You are introducing Kundavi.
Oh. So Kundavi is the evaluator 1 today, right?
Yes. That's correct.
So Kundavi today is the evaluator 1.
Okay, Kundavi, who you are evaluating, and can you brief about the role?
An evaluator basically listens and tells the things you did good and also tells any corrections.
The speaker 1, right? Yeah,
The
could you please?
speaker 1.
Correct. Could you please adjust your camera a little bit, Kundavi, so that we can see your face? Yeah, perfect. Good. Awesome.
And
Go ahead.
also I would like to introduce Vidhi, who is the evaluator 2 today.
Thank you.
Wait, Billy, go on.
To evaluate speaker 2, you have to it's like a reflection. You have to reflect on the person's speech and tell 2 good things and 1 bad thing, or something you should improve on.
How long you will give evaluation? How long?
I think 2 to 3 minutes.
Perfect. Good. Okay, move on. Thank you.
Moving on, I would like to first bring up our speaker 1 for today. We have Lokesh giving our first speech. So Lokesh, the stage is yours.
Hello everyone. Today I'll be giving my first icebreaker speech. I will be talking about how a specific personal anecdote from my Taekwondo journey throughout the years. If you don't know, Taekwondo is a Korean martial art characterized by free-form sparring and punching and kicking techniques. In fact, Taekwondo quite literally translates to punching and kicking in English. In particular, I'll be conveying some lessons that I learned from the martial art. I began my journey in Taekwondo when I was 6 years old, which might seem a bit young as an age to begin any martial art or sport. However, there is quite some significance to the tenets conveyed by Taekwondo, which can be explained by the deep historical history. It dates back to 2000 years. As with most martial arts, there are a various amount of belt levels and degrees among the highest belt level, and the highest belt level is of course a black belt, and the highest degree is the 9th degree, which can take more than 20 years after receiving a black belt to receive. Now I'm going to be talking about one of the important doctrines of Taekwondo, which is perseverance, and how I learned a life-changing lesson from my Taekwondo journey. When I began Taekwondo at the state of life which I was at, I didn't possess any prior knowledge about the martial art, and I knew almost no one who participated in it. It was the first martial art form and sport I was introduced to. It was the first opportunity I had to prove myself in this world. In each belt ceremony, one needs at least 4 black stripes on their belt to receive a trophy until you receive your black belt. These stripes were awarded for superior performance in various aspects of Taekwondo, such as form drills or sparring. And before I received my black belt, belt promotions were every 3 months. So no matter how hard I tried, I had always failed to receive more than 3 stripes. Then came my 4th belt ceremony, and this was my green belt ceremony, and I did receive 4 stripes on my belt. Now, unfortunately, during my promotion ceremony, one of these stripes fell, and I still remember when my name was called out, I only had 3 stripes. My Taekwondo master, Master Kim, told me that I wouldn't get a trophy then, yet I could see that he did know, he did have prior knowledge of one of my stripes falling off, and I'll get to this later. Due to my introversion, I did not speak loud enough or clearly enough for my master to hear my concerns, and thus I did not receive a trophy. Now, at the age I was, this seemed very significant, and this seemed like one of the worst days of my life up until that moment, and my sense of accomplishment had gone down the drain. Now, little did I know that my instructor actually knew about this. Like I already mentioned, one of the most important principles of this martial art is perseverance. And until I received my black belt, I still had kept trying to receive 4 stripes, but I just never seemed to do so. Up until that point, my Taekwondo career seemed very unsuccessful. It seemed like Russell Westbrook's NBA career had always failed to win the chip. However, during my black belt ceremony, which took place when I was around 8 years old, Master Kim had pulled me aside and told me something I would never forget. He told me how all of this, me failing to receive 4 belt stripes on my belt, was only to teach me the value of perseverance. He then gave me a competition trophy, which was a few inches taller than I was at the time. Although this is a relatively insignificant event in the grand scheme of things, given that I had continued to receive up to the 2nd degree black belt, and I had continued to go to competitions in my state. I believe this is the unique way in which Taekwondo taught me the value of perseverance. Although this does seem like an insignificant event right now, this is something which I will never forget due to how it taught me such an important life value. And with that said, I'm finished with my speech.
Thank you, Lokesh, for that amazing speech about Taekwondo and your life experiences with it. I loved hearing about how you came through some of your difficulties with Taekwondo. That was really nice to hear. And moving on, we have our speaker 2, Nithilan. I would like to bring up Nithilan to the stage for our speech 2.
All right, welcome everybody. So I just want to preface this by saying this is more of a fun speech. It's not going to be very serious, so just keep that in mind while I say it. All right, so the topic that I'll be speaking about today is one that's extremely controversial in our society. It's torn apart relationships and it's created a fissure in the fabric of society as we know it. This issue that I'm talking about is going to be why the right way to eat a bowl of cereal is to pour the milk in first rather than the cereal. So there are several reasons why my opinion is this on how to pour a bowl of cereal. When you pour a bowl of cereal, it's often hard to estimate how much cereal and milk you want to pour into the bowl. So because of this, you'll often pour in more of one item than the other. So because of this, you'll be having to accommodate and pour in enough to like fill the gaps of the other. So you always have to keep adjusting the amount of cereal or milk you'll be pouring. So to remedy this, the best way to pour in milk and cereal is to pour the milk in first. So regardless of which way you use, if you pour in too much cereal, you can just easily scoop it off the top or off the bottom of the bowl. But if you pour in your milk first, then it's easier to reduce the amount of milk in the bowl rather than if you pour in the milk second. If you pour in the milk second, it's too hard to take out the milk out of the bowl because it already has cereal in it. And so that is the first reason why it's important to pour your milk first. The second reason that it's better to pour milk before cereal is that you can heat up your milk before pouring in your cereal. So this might be a strange technique to some, but among us cereal connoisseurs, we consider this a very valuable technique, especially in the colder months when we want to have like a hot treat. And so if you pour your milk second after your cereal, you'll have to be getting 2 bowls. You'll have to heat up your milk in 1 bowl in the microwave or on the stove, and then you'll have to pour that milk into another bowl that already contains the cereal. So it'll just be a waste of water to wash the bowls and a waste of effort to take both the bowls out and use them. However, if you pour your milk before your cereal, you can take the bowl that already has the milk, heat it up, and then pour the cereal in afterwards. So you can just eat the cereal like that. It'll save water and effort. So that's the second reason why. Finally, pouring your milk before you pour the cereal into your bowl is the best way to preserve the crunchiness of your cereal. If you pour the cereal first, then you'll be essentially dousing the cereal in milk, which will result in the crunchiness of the cereal being overridden by the sogginess of the milk. And you'll just end up with this soggy, lumpy cereal that you can't really eat with much satisfaction. So if you pour the cereal in after the milk, you can just mix in the cereal and the milk together, and it'll basically preserve the crunchiness better than if you pour the cereal in first. And it's widely accepted that crunchy cereal is infinitely better than soggy cereal. So, you know, it's just a win-win here. And you can mix the cereal to attain your perfect desired level of crunchiness if you pour the milk in first. But I want to end this off by saying there is no concrete absolute way to pour your cereal. Each side to the argument has its own merits and disadvantages. And pouring your cereal one way or another doesn't make you any less of a cereal lover. In the end, we're all cereal lovers, and that's what matters most. And so I want to leave you off with this. It doesn't matter how you pour your cereal. It's just important that you recognize that both sides have their merits and that we're all the same in the end, cereal lovers. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitlin. Well, I just gotta say, but I'm a person of cereal first. It's gotta be the cereal, okay? It's gotta be the cereal. Thank you. Raymond agrees with me. If you heat the milk, then your cereal becomes extra soggier. No, milk doesn't go first. No, I don't agree with that. But it was a great speech. So thank you for that speech. And now we will be going for our evaluations for our speeches today. I would first like to bring up Ananya for evaluating our first speech given by
Kundavi.
Yeah, sorry, I mean Kundavi. Sorry, I read the wrong name. I bring up Kundavi to evaluate our first speech.
Yeah, I'm evaluating for Lokesh, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. I really liked your speech. You gave a lot of facts. It was super informative. Like, you added a lot of facts. I learned some things from your speech, like it could take